Hey there, CC friends. This is going to be part two of the equations unit, and I'm going to do it a little differently than I was doing the rest, just as maybe encouragement for parents that at this point in the process might feel a little bit overwhelmed with just some of the math that is in this, especially for the challenge students. As I said, I have a third grader who's working through the fractions. I have a kindergartner who's working through the naturals. It's been a wonderful process. We've been able to have some great conversations. And I've, as a math teacher, been able to kind of weed out a few areas. My daughter never had decimals and she's only in third grade. So all of a sudden there'll be a problem with decimals. So I'll just kind of pull aside and say, okay, we're going to focus on this, but then we still work through the rest and I kind of give her the answers. So you have to weed through this because this is a very new experience for your child and as parents a new experience because I personally have never seen a math curriculum like this before. And as much as, for me having a math background and a master's in math, and seeing some of the topics that are discussed and just being excited that my kid is going to be exposed to this before they even fully understand it. I can understand as a parent, it might feel totally overwhelming, especially if you're in challenge and now this is the math that's being used and your kid's in seventh grade and you're thinking, okay, are they going to be able to still go to college and pass an algebra class in college? Not everybody's going to try to become a math scholar. So what I wanted to do was just point out that, and I know this is explained in a couple different areas in the math map, but there is some stuff in here that is designed to be more just conversational, but like classical conversations. We talk about history events. We have 4 year olds singing about events that they have no clue what the words even mean. And in the end, it pieces together for them. They're not all going to go on to be history majors. However, that's how that classical model works. They're being exposed to these different things in different ways over and over and over again. So, as you're looking at this, some of these things are not meant to be understood fully. You look at, I'll kind of start because we talked about page 1 through 4 in my first video. So, I'll move on to page 5. But as I look at page 5 of the complex, and especially having a math background, you see where it says write the closure laws range up there at the top. This is something that they might not ever see again if they were in the regular public school system. They probably wouldn't. And if they did, it wouldn't really be that thoroughly explained. Versus if you turn, this here, writing an interval notation is very important for them to understand. They wouldn't have to know it right yet, but this is going to really help them in algebra when there's times where we graph things or we represent solution sets and we have to be able to say, open circles indicate it's not equal to, but it goes up to. And then the brackets or the closed dots will represent that it is equal to. So there's things in here that is important and there's things that is less important. There's things that are less important. And it doesn't mean you should kind of ditch the whole process and say, okay, some of this isn't beneficial, so why am I even doing this? Think of it more from the standpoint of just like the classical model. Sometimes there might be that moment, my daughter is listening to geography songs that aren't per CC, but it's a curriculum that kind of complements some of the areas we're learning about in CC. And we did Egypt, and all of a sudden she's tracing the Nile River, and she's like, the longest river in the world, because she heard this song, and she's remembering these facts. And that was cool because then we could talk about it more. But sometimes she's just totally clueless, like where this country is in Africa, or some of the like the Fertile Crescent that we're going through, and it's like they're not going to grasp everything all at once. And just because it's math, and just because math tends to be one of those subjects that's very intimidating for a lot of people, it it is the same model. It's that same classical model, and that's what's so neat about what they are developing. And I also encourage you to remember they're still developing it. And because of that, I am sure over time there'll be some things that are adjusted here or there. But math is such a grade thing. It's always been about the grade. We got to pass it. We got to pass our quizzes. We got to pass with this grade or we don't know math. And that's not necessarily true. And even working with my kids when we started kindergarten to see the problem sets, and these were good curriculums that I was using. The problem sets, I'm like, why are we killing addition for these children? Like it just 20, 30 problems. They know how to add. Like they know how to add. And once you know how to add 2 digits, you can add 3 digits, 4 digits, 5 digits. It's the same thing. So why are we killing it? Same thing for multiplying. Once we can do 2 digits times 2 digits, we're golden. We can do as big of a problem as we need to. We're going to make errors if we're not careful. So let them practice it, but they don't need to kill it. And because of that, what's neat about this is we're not killing it. We're still practicing and learning the things we need to know per grade level, but we're learning so much more and we're seeing some of those applications in process, even if we're not grasping it all the way. So, just to point out a few pages in here, you know, as I said, this part here, you don't have to stress over as much, but still look at it. Still let them explore it, let them look at it, copy the answers. This stuff here, this is showing good examples of some of the laws that they've been learning, especially if they started early since foundations and some other laws too, and just seeing how these actually apply. So it's kind of like when they hit essentials and they hit challenge, they get to see why those little fun songs and chants they learned actually work. Well, that's happening right here. And it's all very specific to CC, and that's what makes it really nice. So then, turning to the next page, there are some things in here. So if I was gonna look at page 6 and say, what do they need to know how to do most? It's this bottom corner here. See these order of operations problems where it says simplify? Work those. And if you don't understand those, look up some resources on order of operations. And they're using GEMA, which means God is my answer. So G for groupings. So anything with parentheses, absolute values, you're going to handle those first. Then your exponents, but there another word for exponent is index. So I for index, so we get rid of exponents next. And then, multiply, so multiplication and division are inverses. And then addition, answer A for addition, subtraction again are inverses. So working these problems is important. It's good practice. But notice it's not killing them. You don't have a whole page of that. You just have a few. And if they get it, good. If they don't get it, then print some more stuff. You can go on kuta.com and get, and I know as a math teacher, I know this stuff, but others might not know. Go to kuta.com. You can literally print, you can look up what the topic is and print a whole problem set with answers if you feel like your kid has a deficit in an area. And it has some really cool stuff. So there's a lot of resources out there, and we're blessed. Sometimes technology is a curse because our kids are so obsessed with it and they want it, and we have to have those boundaries and decide what's going to be appropriate for them at their age. But know that technology is also a blessing for us as home educators, that there is so much available at our fingertips. You can even let them learn how to properly do a search and search for more resources if they're feeling lost in any of these areas. Um, there is and all the other stuff too. I'm not downplaying, you should still work through it, but these are what they need to know how to do. The other stuff is, have them work through it, have them see the process, talk about it. Again, turning to the next page, this is great that right in the middle of a lot of things happening, they're getting to visualize canceling out units. I've had students in college that didn't know how to do this. And this is really important, especially if they do something in physics, if they're doing anything in the engineering realm, anything in the chemistry realm. We got to understand how we're canceling units. And I have dogs wrestling in my room. And then division. This is awesome. They can practice their long division. Have them do all these problems. Don't let them look at the answers and then look at the answers and see how they did. And if they don't know that process, here's another thing. Look it up online. These are things they'd be learning. But if you had a regular math curriculum, the whole page would be that and there'd be nothing else. And it'd be boring and they'd grow to hate it. And so that's why this is, why as a math teacher, I love this so much because they're getting to explore, they're getting to see applications of some of this stuff, but they're still getting to practice it. Then you have, um, this is showing common errors. I encourage you to kind of have them work through this, even if they can't figure it out, work through that answer key because it's going to show them, oh, this is areas where I could easily make a mistake because I don't fully understand. It's like a reverse approach to showing them why. We can say, don't do this, but if they see the why and they work through it, it helps them understand better. Oh, this is something I could get wrong very easily if I'm not understanding the concept fully. Um, in the back, there's the careful calculations. This is great too. It really, I think the focus, if I could say one thing to focus on for this unit, equations, at this stage in their journey at seventh grade would be really focus on this gamma concept. And even if you spend your whole week focusing on gamma, and then you just look at some of the other examples, you're doing good. You're doing good for your kid. They're learning a concept that many students never ever grasp and get to high school, and then math becomes so intimidating and they just give up. And then let me just glance and see, is there anything else? There's just great, cool concepts in here. As this goes further, this is where my dogs and my kids sometimes when I try to record. As we advance further into this, some of these concepts that are going to come up are going to feel so foreign. So I will try to highlight out a few important things for them, and then we'll do some examples if I think there's something that's really really foreign. I didn't see a whole lot in this that needed greater explanation. But again, post in the comments, reach out to me if you feel like you need help understanding something. Um, this one was great in comparison. This is also this is a great practice set right here. It's on page 9. This is huge for them to just practice greater than, less than, and see how it applies to the different operators that they've learned. So you can see that right there at the bottom. And again, there's so much in here about factoring, and I'll do a separate video on factoring so you can see that end goal if you don't remember it from high school, or you haven't seen it yet, because every curriculum's different. I don't know at what point they're teaching it based on the curriculums. But here, methods for finding roots. It keeps coming up because this is a cyclic effect. And it's great for them to just see this process. And it's walking them through the different kinds of problems. And even if they don't get it fully right now, it's okay. Just let them walk through that process because it's going to make so much more sense when they hit the level that they need to use it. But again, my final encouragement, because I keep repeating myself and I have a terrible habit of that, is focus on the things especially that don't feel so foreign. Okay, so comparison, we're pretty, we've done that, we've seen that before in many curriculums, and that are giving them practice in arithmetic skills, practice in their pre-algebra skills that they would need, things involving negatives, things involving exponents, any problem set that you see like that, focus on and make sure they're not feeling lost. And if they are, print them a worksheet and don't worry about finishing the day math map and work that worksheet that day. Remember, you're as home educators, we decide what's best for our children. And some of you might make it through 16 pages, love it, and then go print more. And some might make it through page 1 and say, okay, we're going to go back to the basics. And today we're going to work on order of operation, or we're going to just work on long division. And that's okay. It's that concept of, that's what makes home education so beautiful, because in the school system, they wouldn't be able to do that. And they would be lost in the sauce and they would keep cycling and they would have a sheet of 20 problems. They don't even know how to do one. And now they miss that whole concept. And 2-3 years later, it comes back to haunt them because they can't get through anything in algebra. So there's my 2 cents on this week. Feel free to post in the comments. I hope this helps and encourages some. And in the future, I'll try to structure it such it's kind of a 2-way process. Maybe I'll do one video that just highlights a few things that some might be totally confused on. And then I'll do another video just saying, like, these are the problem sets that would be very important for them to understand at this stage in the journey. And then you kind of have, a little bit of a goal for the week. So I hope you enjoyed and tune in for some other videos, and we'll see you again soon. Have a great day.